Hello, everybody in the land of Zoom and writers. Do you want to come in a bit? Because I feel like actually let's try and maximise. Do you want to play musical chairs? Yeah, maximise the faces we can get on screen. So thank you very much for joining me today. Let's put my phone on silent. Ever the professional. What we're going to be looking at today is pathfinding, the relationship between Playwright and director-dramaturg. I wanted to explore this session. We'll let somebody into the room. There we go. I wanted to explore this session. He said, "This is going to be rubbish for the recording, isn't it?" I wanted to explore this session because that's very much my experience is working with playwrights as a director and dramaturg. So just a little bit of context before we start the masterclass. I run a new writing theatre company called Dr. Tricks over in Manchester. We have been running for 19 years. Our whole remit is about supporting playwrights' voice, so encouraging playwrights to tell stories they want to tell, and finding pathways into the industry. In terms of my experience as director, I've taken a lot of productions from the seed of an idea, from the seed of an idea to full production through our New Tricks programme. Come on in.
Hi, sorry.
We've only just got underway. Good. That's through our New Tricks programme, which is kind of our engine room for new plays. So we go on a journey where we commission a playwright, give them the space to come up with an idea. We talk to writers about the idea, develop it into a treatment, take it into an R&D room, workshop it, and then take it to full production. I'm making it sound very simple. It usually takes years, as I'm sure everybody in this room appreciates. Before we start, I'd like to just do a quick fire around the circle, just so we know who everybody is. I'll come to you Zoom people as well, to get yourselves ready in the digital sphere. So what I'd like to do is just a bit of an icebreaker. So if you give us your name, what brought you here today, and potentially what you want to get out of the masterclass. And I asked you all to kind of think about potential ideas for plays. Did you all get that email? Good. So yeah, if you could give a terrain for your play, what would your terrain be? Okay. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but like, what would be the metaphorical terrain of your play? I was trying to riff off the pathfinding idea. Get me following, yeah. Brilliant. Can we start?
By terrain, what do you mean by that?
So like landscape. So it could be my play is a desert, or my play is a city landscape, or whatever's going to be
lovely,
kind of reflective of the idea at the moment.
I did not get that email.
So just basically, if you've got an idea in progress, then great.
Perfect. I'm Gemma, everyone, hello. I came here today on a bit of a whim, actually. I feel like I've had a bit of a writer's block, and I just kind of wanted some inspiration and just to be in a room with writers, because I feel like that never happens. So I just thought it'd be nice, and to get some wisdom as well. And then the last thing that I was writing was the terrain of it is a restaurant in Oosburn on a Friday night.
Okay. Brilliant.
Hello, I am Connor Dorian, and I've come here today because I don't really know, just sort of was interested, sort of was invited to come and told that I should come to this. So I was like, well, I definitely will.
Brilliant.
Well, something I guess, in all honesty. And then the terrain, I don't know. Maybe it's like, for some reason, that's the only thing that's running through my head is like ink, as in that's like an oil spill.
Yeah, nice.
God knows, we'll find out.
That's all right. Great.
I'm Finley. Hello, everybody. I'm relatively new to playwriting, so I come to live rights regularly, and so this was on, so I thought might as well get here a few hours early and practice a bit.
Yeah.
And I'd say probably a beach would be the terrain for mine, like a relatively open, lonely one on a
Okay.
windy day.
Nice. In this country.
In this country, yeah, so not a particularly sensible one.
Lovely.
Hello, I'm Matthew. I came because, like many of you, I want to be a writer or a dramaturg or whatever. I would see Under Three Moons on the first night it was on Manchester.
Right, amazing.
And loved it and bought the book and used it for audition pieces and things. And yeah, really liked that. So sort of someone's like, brilliant, I'll go.
You get gold stars.
Yeah, I've got kind of two ideas. One that I've already worked on, which is like set in the desert, and then one which I'm trying to kind of get out at the moment, which is all of a very small apartment.
Lovely.
I'm Hannah. I'm here because I've got a play on tonight with live rights, and they were like, come to this.
Fab.
I think it would actually be helpful because it is hard when you're in the writers' room. So I'm not normally in the rehearsal room. It's hard to know what you say, what you don't say, because you don't want to end up sort of being the director, even though in your head you're like, I know exactly how this play goes. So you kind of don't want to do that. And then I'll just go off because the one I've written for tonight is unfinished, so I'm still writing it. I would say the terrain is just like the skyline of Blackpool.
Nice.
I'm Mary. I came because, sorry, I'm about to embarrass you horribly, because of Box of Tricks, because I've done 2 projects with Box of Tricks. I'm based in Gateshead, but obviously it comes through to you guys in Manchester, so I've been part of the pen pals scheme with the sort of, you kind of matchmakers with a writer, and we have little chats over Zoom, and that was about 5 years ago, and me and my pen pals still talk about regularly and stuff. And then I was part of last year part of the Accelerate group, which was for writers over the age of 35. One of Ginny is also on Zoom. And it's just what I feel with, again, about to embarrass you horribly. I'm sure in this room there's quite a few people who've done like writers groups or schemes or things, and you kind of get to the last week and it's like, bye, see ya, keep in touch. And it's like, okay, okay, like why should I have to do everything? Whereas I feel with Box of Tricks, kind of once you're in their gang, I can't think of a better word, you're kind of, like, I finished the draft of the play I was writing as part of the Accelerate group the other night, and the first thing I did was message Hannah, who's the other half of Box of Tricks, because Hannah and Adam are both so encouraging. So just, and once you're in with them, that's, I kind of feel you're in with you, a bit like the mafia for life kind of thing. So I feel like my education, so I've done a couple of the workshops online, so it's really nice to be in the room, the fact that you're going around different theatres, but also in terms of terrain, I think my play would be an archaeological dig in terms of, I know there's something there, right? It just takes me ages to get to it, and once I find it, and I know it'll be great, but it's just buried at the minute. It's just like it.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kevin. This time last year I was writing a dissertation for creative writing course at the University of Northumbria, and during that course I had been funneled, pushed, kicking and screaming down an elective way we had to write some play. That's opened doors for me, and I've tried to write for the theatre. So I decided only yesterday, because things worked out at home, I would come along to see the plays being performed downstairs tonight, and then went down the rabbit hole to say, oh well, there's this also in this Masterclass. And I thought, right, we'll be able to learn something from that.
Amazing.
So hence I'm here to try. I think I found a phrase somewhere on the website that it said pathway or directions, and I thought that's exactly what I've been missing. Because it must be much easier if you can see the drama in your writing from afar, like a road sign. So I decided on the metro on the wheel, I think it's time to devise my own cul-de-sacs, roundabouts and everything else. Because hence I think that'll be helping the drama. So that's what I hope to get out of today.
Great. And was there a particular terrain for your idea yet? Or
Sorry, it's a TV interview. It's a direct response to something that went out on television in the 1970s, and the individual involved is seeking redemption, having turned an abject failure around to success.
okay, great. Well, I think somebody in the room, just let them in before we move on. I feel like I have to wave and say hello. Hey, hello, Lee. We're just going, you haven't missed much, we're just going around the circle and introducing ourselves. Saying a little bit about why we're here, what brought us here, and a terrain, a metaphorical terrain for your idea, should you have one. Brilliant. Carry on around the circle.
Hello, my name's Carmen Curran. I'm retired from the fire service and I'm a singer-songwriter from Whitley Bay. And I'm just bringing this album out soon.
Amazing.
It's called Fault. Where's the camera?
Yes, just at the top there.
Yeah, it's called Fault. That's me and my brother when we were little. We're both adopted, and it's basically set. It's not one of those journey things. It's basically set in a contemporary council flat, with some flashbacks. At the moment, the script has got the flashbacks as voiceovers. It's completely new to me, playwriting, but I submitted a TV version of it to Stephen Graham's grassroots competition, which is for working class writers, and I got longlisted. I didn't get any further than that, but I got in the top 20%, so that gave us a bit of confidence just to say that, yeah, maybe it's worth actually putting on stage. So the idea is for me to use professional actors, because I'm not an actor, but I'll be doing the singing of the songs, and the script is written around the songs rather than the songs being shoehorned into the script.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Sorry, what's your name? Sorry.
Carmen Curran.
Alright, sorry.
There's a little review of it in the crack, but it doesn't mention anything about adoption or about the story. It's just like it's a canny album.
Good to hear. Brilliant.
Hi, I'm Debbie Beats, and I'm here. I'm a writer, playwright, and I'm here because I'm meeting with directors at the moment, and I'm not finding it easy. And I thought, well, perfect timing. And if the new piece that I've been toying with, I think the terrain would be an all-weather school pitch, a really miserable drab one from a falling down PFI school with crisp packets and a bit of dog shit.
That's it, thank you.
I'm Jamie. I just came just to keep learning, really, and it was free.
Great.
And I've been working on something for a couple of months now, set on an ice floe in the Arctic, with one man surrounded by corpses and a starving boiler.
Great.
No exit pursued by them.
Fantastic.
I'm Jake. I see a masterclass. Always. Let's jump on that. I'm writing a play at the minute, so it helps to just kind of, if I can hear about plays, gets me in the mindset, because otherwise I get distracted.
Yeah.
And the play I'm writing, I mean, in a literal sense, it's set in a living room of a northeastern house, but metaphorically, probably a muddy graveyard.
Right, okay.
I'm Helen. I'm not a writer. I'm a director.
Welcome.
The only one who braved coming into a room full of writers. Yeah, and I'm here because I've been a director for a number of years, mostly directed work by people who are dead. And I've had a bit of time out of the industry, and I'm currently trying to support some local writers. And I thought this sounds like a good way of thinking about, here's a company that already does that really well. Maybe I can go and find out how I can do better. at supporting writers to get their work developed. So
Great.
that's why I'm here. And I don't have a terrain, I'm afraid.
We'll find one, don't worry. Brilliant. John.
Sorry, take myself off mute. Hello, I'm John. I'm in Sheffield. I mostly work on site-specific theatre bits, so I tend to sort of come in when they've already decided where it is, what the stunts are, and so it's like, and how to get people through a door and not to narratively fill in the gaps. So starting the other way round and working on the seed of an idea rather than the more computer gamey side of things is a bit newer to me. And also I sort of work in TV development, so which is much more sort of everything's on the page to make sure that there's no chance of anyone misunderstanding it. So I'm really interested in sort of the slightly more imaginative elements of theatre rather than but what if the person looking at their phone doesn't get it sort of side of things. And the terrain for my piece would be, without mentioning any chains, would be a horrifically patterned pub carpet, but not necessarily in a pub. So, yeah. Excellent.
Kate.
Hi, yeah, my name is Kate. In a roundabout here away, I'm here because of Mari, because we follow each other first on Twitter and then on Instagram. And she recommended Box of Tricks, and I looked into them, and I did a masterclass with Alison Carr because I'm also interested in site-specific theatre. And yeah, and so I'm an emerging writer, and I was really interested by the title of Pathways because I didn't really know what that was going to be.
Right.
Nice to virtually meet you.
Yeah, I know. I was so excited when I saw you.
She's not on commission.
No. But we've never been in touch, but we've followed each other for about 3 years.
Wow, oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I feel because we've just done so many of these things, which obviously is a privilege, but you get to know like the good ones and the not so good ones.
Yeah, well, you mentioned the masterclasses, and then I looked into them, and as I said, I did Alison Carr's masterclass, and I'm a big fan of hers. She was phenomenal, and I'm afraid to say I'm in the south. I'm a southern Jessie. I'm not in the north, but I was really blown away by that masterclass. So, and the title was interesting to me.
Brilliant, thank you, Vicky.
Hello, my name's Vicky Reeford-Sinnott. I am a playwright, and I'm also the artistic director of Little Cog, which is a disabled-led theatre company. Currently under commission at Live for a play that is causing me an internal wrestling match, as most plays do. I'm really interested in a dynamic dramaturgical relationship where I'm not posed lots of philosophical, endless questions. And so I'm just interested to hear what other people's experiences of that are really. My terrain is a muddy field in County Durham, on the surface of which it's the year 2000, but underneath there are lots of remnants from contested land. I think that's what I'm going to say.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Ginny.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Ginny. I'm a playwright based in Liverpool. I've worked. I've been associated with Box of Tricks, like Mari said, and also at the moment I'm developing a play with the Everyman and the Women in Theatre Lab. My metaphor, I think, would be like a treetop village with a treetop village with sort of school gym ropes to get around in.
That's an image. Thank you. Amazing. Thank you very much, everyone, for introducing yourselves. So today's workshop is going to be a combination of open discussion, so to kind of talking about things, and then some practical exercises to kind of try things on for size. First of all, I kind of want to explore roles, expectations, and stages of development. So first off, I just kind of want to kick off a bit of a chat. How would people define dramaturg? What do you understand by that word, dramaturg? Don't be shy.
It terrifies me. I'd like to know. I feel like I feel like it's someone who comes in and then goes, would this be better this way? But I'm quite honestly clueless to it, so that's why I'm
Great.
Yeah.
Has anybody worked with a dramaturg? Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I see it as a kind of interpreter, like
Right, that's
interpreting what you put on the page into something that is visual and or helping you to do that.
Yeah.
Something that's more visual.
Okay, great. Any other thoughts?
I don't know. I get confused because in Europe it means something different, doesn't it? Like, so I think I see it in the UK as a kind of script editor, like you say. Whereas I think is Europe the dramaturg is involved in like the word go. I think I don't know. It just I quite like your thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are lots of different definitions. One of which is that it's more of a creative role from the off. So somebody who works as kind of a go-between director and a writer, or potentially in some cases there isn't even a writer. Do you know what I mean? It could be devised process. But it's somebody who's got a handle on the overall vision for a project and plays an instrumental part and is catalyst, a driver for provoking the artists involved. But that is different, I would say, to what we understand in the UK, which is a lot more of a kind of literary tradition, a lot more of a kind of writer led process. You said script editor. Would other people does that chime with other people? I'm really interested in interpreter. I think that's a really interesting word. Any other kind of words that come to mind with dramaturg?
Provocateur.
Yeah, nice.
Elaborate. I would suggest that the dramaturg is helping the writer to develop to meet the needs of a director and actors. And in any sort of writing forum, it's always very nice to sort of suggest, well, I like this line, I like that line, I like the others. But you never really criticize, but you can ask questions. And you can ask the questions to help bring what you need, your interpretation to help the writer meet the needs of the director.
Yeah, great. I think there's something really interesting there, both interpreter and provocateur, that sense of not being the person with all the answers, but being the person with the questions. And actually, you know, I see my role, particularly as a dramaturg rather than as director, in facilitating the writer's vision. It's not about what play I would write. It's about how to make the best of the play that writer wants to write, and giving them the provocations and the tools to do that. Now that could be like questions, it could be structure, it could be story, it could be, you know, all of those things that we're familiar with from countless masterclasses. But I think, you know, it's somebody who's like an outside eye. I think often when you're a writer and you're working in isolation, you can get so close to something that it's difficult to kind of have that overarching view and shape of the play. How does that differ to the role of a director? Colin, you were talking about visual elements. Do you think that's more present in that kind of director role or dramaturgical role, or both?
I would say both. I mean, I don't exactly know what a dramaturg is or what a director is exactly, but I think they would both be responsible for that. But I think, like you said, sorry, I forgot your name, but I think it's more, the dramaturg is more working with the writer to put that roadmap in place.
I love the fact you guys are running with this metaphor of the pathfinder. Yes, it is a roadmap, though. It is a roadmap, and I think I say this a lot. And you've probably heard this countless times from me, Mary. But I think of plays as like maps. You don't have to give the exact direction to directors or actors. It's you give them milestones. You give them a way through the story, but it's for them to find the story and to give their interpretation. That's the beauty of theatre, is the collaborative art form. That it's not like writing a novel where you have a singular vision and you sit in your room and you write that play. It's about that book or story or fiction. But this is about, like, how do we invite others into that that creative collaboration, and how do you leave space for others to interpret it? I think that's something that's really key to me as a dramaturg, that it's not about here's all the right answers, and if you follow this 9-step guide, you will have the best play ever. Do you know what I mean? I think that's really subjective. What the dramaturg is about is, yes, for me, is about being that catalyst for getting the best possible play. And what elements do you think there are? I kind of touched on some of them already. What aspects of a play do dramaturgs look at? We talked a bit about structure. What other elements do you think a dramaturg could help with?
Character.
Yeah.
Dialogue.
Yeah, dialogue, definitely. The other things, yeah.
Sort of rhythm of it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Pace. It's not the same as rhythm as paces.
Yeah. Any other things?
Tone.
Yeah, great.
I think the world of the play and the kind of that the writers capture in that.
Yes, that's really nice. Yeah, the world of the play, and that's not just the literal world. You know, we're kind of getting back to that kind of metaphorical terrain, isn't it? And thinking about play as something that's alive, that's got a feeling about it. That's kind of why I wanted to start with that terrain idea. It's not about, you know, necessarily where something's set. It's more about the feel of it and what you want to convey to an audience. Yeah, I think that outside eye is really helpful as well. Being the audience of one and thinking about the theatricality of a piece and how it's going to translate on stage. So when you're taking it from, you know, page to stage. Also sometimes research, helping, you know, open doors to research avenues or things depending on what's required for the play. And yeah, contextual or textual support both. You know, just kind of understanding what the play needs and how to get it there. Has anybody got anything else on that front?
Would they like kind of ask like why, in terms of like why set at this time, or why you writing this play?
Yeah.
Because now that you've said all this, I've definitely worked with a dramaturg before.
Yeah.
Oh, that's like no.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, so helpful.
Great.
Yeah. So I guess.
Yes, it's that. It's asking why, you know, what's the story and why now is often the big ones, you know. And sometimes you can't always answer that. And I think sometimes that question can be a little reductive if we're not careful. But I think at the heart of it, it's about the liveness of theatre and why we're staging something at this precise moment in time, you know, in this, you know, cultural context. But yes, I think why is always an important one. And, you know, how, and all of those, you know, what, why, how, where, and all of that stuff. And how do you think that relationship evolves over time in your mind? If you were to go on a typical development process, so taking it from treatment through to first draft, through to hopefully R&D, and then potentially a production. How do you see, particularly the director-dramaturg relationship evolving? Is it the same throughout? Is it consistent throughout, or does it change?
If you're lucky, I think you would have that relationship with someone that you trust over time, and you've got shortcuts and maybe kind of your own kind of like shorthand. Obviously, it's so sad my brain went there, but like unfortunately sometimes in theatre we meet people that who aren't necessarily got our best interests at heart. So really I'm talking about like an ideal most of the time, like, you know, if you're really lucky, you have that someone you would continue to work with again, and you both challenge each other. I mean, I imagine the dramaturg is taking on this role to get something out of it as well. So yeah, I guess you would challenge each other, and you would.
That's really interesting. I mean, I think trust is a
Yeah.
really big word, because I think for me, like, we as a company, we do give feedback to writers who, you know, might send in the play, but we're always kind of reluctant to send feedback without understanding the context of the play or what the playwright's trying to achieve, or because if I've read a play once and I go, oh, I don't get it, or whatever else, that's, you know, that's just one person's opinion. And also, as I'm sure you guys have done, you know, you send it to various places and they give you various conflicting feedback, and then you're left going, what the fuck? Where do I take it from here? So we're always quite careful of, you know, trying to understand, you know, even if it is just a conversation. I always rather meet a writer via Zoom or in person to talk about what they're trying to achieve in order to give feedback and to kind of ask the questions that need to be asked. So yeah, trust is a great one. Yeah. Sorry, go on, Vicky.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I think trust's vital. I've worked with a few dramaturgs who've got different approaches, but one thing I do try to work with a dramaturg from a really early stage, and therefore the role develops, you know, alongside each other with the best play that it can be in mind. But it's also quite a streamlined approach, because I think sometimes as the writer, you're full of all the information, and I think that they're almost like a navigator who can help you to streamline it until it's a workable, recognizable play.
Yeah, that's lovely. I love that word, navigator. I think there is it's almost like somebody who's guiding you rather than going, you have to go this way. You know what I mean? It's somebody who's alongside you. There was also something you said about you develop that out side by side or something, and I think there's something lovely in that something evolves collaboratively rather than, you know, I'm the dramaturg and I've got all the answers, and if you just you know, do what I say, then it'll be the play we need it to be. It's actually about like how you understand what the play is and where it needs to go next. Yeah, lovely.
I think that you develop your understanding of the world you've created and the characters together as well. So you're able to discuss in more detail the wants and the conflicts and the actions of what's happening, of the narrative. And you know, the authenticity of the play in whatever world you've created as well. So like Vicky was saying, it is like a kind of somebody who's kind of stopping you and saying, okay, what's going on here for the people around you, like in your play.
Yeah, exactly. I think that narrative drive of a play doesn't always emerge early on. You know what I mean? Sometimes you've just got these characters in your head, and actually you've got this sense that there's a kind of vague story, and you need a sounding board. And I think that's another role with dramaturg we've kind of touched on. But like, actually, it's that sometimes you just need to say it out loud, and have it be heard, and repeat it back to you, and where the strengths and potential pitfalls of that idea lie, and to go on that journey like Vicky was saying. Yeah, good.
I was sorry.
Yeah, go on, Kate. Yeah, great.
I was talking to somebody who's done some dramaturgy before, and they were saying that sometimes it's quite hard because they have to make you kill your darlings.
Yes.
You know, that's one of the hardest things, because as writers, we get quite attached to characters, and sometimes a dramaturg very gently will come in and say, you know, does that character really work? Do you need that character? And I think that must be a very hard part of the job. So as a dramaturg, I'm asking you, is that one of the hardest things to do?
It is. I mean, I tend that, you know, that will be later in the process. I always think, particularly early on, it's about don't get it right, get it written.
Yeah.
And once you've got that draft, then you can then look at it and you can kind of look at killing darlings if that's required. But it's actually identifying what the story is that wants to be told, because that's where killing darlings comes in. Is that there might be a really beautiful scene between two characters, but if it's not about that story, that is for another play or something. You know what I mean? But yes, it is hard. But sometimes, you know,
An interesting concept.
You know that it's a necessary part of the development. I mean, there's that phrase as well about writing is rewriting. It's about editing. It's about cutting. It's about honing in on something. I like that word honing because it's that image of just kind of chipping away at something and getting it into shape. Good. Let's move on. Let's we've had a lot of chat. Let's get scribbling away. What I'd like to do, I'm going to try and do this in breakout rooms for those of you on Zoom. I need to figure out the technological side of that, so bear with me. What I'd like to do is get into pairs in a moment, and it's just going to be kind of 5-10 minutes each, and I'd like you to pitch your idea to your partner. And essentially, it's an elevator pitch. Is everyone familiar with that phrase? Yeah, so it's something that if you only have the time to go from floor 20 down to floor 1, that you could pitch to somebody, yeah? So don't over-analyze it. It's about getting to the core of what your story is, both in terms of the actual story, but also the experience that you want that play to have. Then you've got a bit of space to feedback. So the other person will play the role of the dramaturg, essentially, but just in that early, I've got this idea kind of stage, and then you're going to swap over. So you'll have, I think, probably, where are we at? 5 minutes each, okay, to do that. And I'll tell you when we'll swap over. Is everybody clear on what we're doing? Brilliant. Good. How was that?
Good.
Yeah. Was it nice to kind of talk about the ideas? Did it work for the Zoom roomers, the breakout rooms? I could do technology. Brilliant. Any just initial reflections, just quick ones before we move on? Anything that kind of came out of it?
It's obviously we haven't done the job before, but I was like, you're asking me questions that a dramaturg would.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Great.
And I was like, that was a really good.
And was it helpful?
Yeah.
Great. Good.
Because I feel like I also write for characters and like worlds.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, this is like nice, but like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So it's helpful to just speak out loud. And then someone's like, oh, well, what if the fight, like, he was like, what if they find it halfway through that they actually crashed the car on purpose? And I was like,
Brilliant. Yes. Any other quick reflections?
Well, I think it's important as much to find out what it is.
Yeah.
But you can also identify what it isn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you
that's
can
really interesting. Yeah.
exclude, you know, my vision of the note. It's not.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I was going to say the flip side of like getting asked questions and just like talking it out can be so helpful.
Yeah.
And you know, writing is often so solitary.
Yes.
Like, in your room, and then like, you know, getting to sit down with someone and kind of do the elevator pitch, you find often that there are lots of kind of holes, and you're like, well, this happens, and yeah, it does happen, but like, I don't, you know, there's a reason for it. I just haven't figured that out. And
Yeah.
you know, the person who's hearing it for the first time can teach you.
That's really interesting. Actually, kind of, you know, because sometimes I know writers who've got the final scene of a play, but they don't know how the fuck they're going to get there. I think that's really interesting. You know, that having that sounding board helps kind of identify what's at the core of it, but actually what are going to be the stepping stones to get in there.
It's what you were saying earlier about what's the story and why now. And every time, for anyone who's ever maybe like submitted to one of the big playwriting competitions, and the question is like you sometimes you can't just submit your play. You sometimes have to fill in like questions. And it's like, why this play? Why now? And it used to really, really annoy me because I just really wanted to write because this is the play that I've written right now. But actually, I've now come around to the idea that that's more helpful for just as helpful for me as it is for them to figure out why have I written this play?
Yeah.
Like why now? Like
Good. Any quick reflections from our Zoomers?
I was just going to offer a reflection that I think it's a useful part of the process is when you're asked, what do you want the audience to get from this? Because I find that really helpful as a writer. And I suppose it actually comes in where the relationship with the director and the dramaturg as well. But as a writer, I might be thinking that I'm communicating something or that I'm getting somewhere with something. And in fact, I'm not. And so having that eye to say, well, what is it that you want the audience to take from this element? I find that really productive.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vicky. You just helped me segue into the next practical exercise. So I call that first exercise planting seed. So just kind of there's an idea there that's yet to germinate, but you want to how do I carry on that analogy? Nurture that first bud, that first green shoot. Yeah, exactly. So the next phase will be what I would ask the writer to do, would be to write a treatment. So before we get into this, what are people's experience with treatments, or what are your thoughts on it? What does it mean to you if you're asked to write a treatment? People in the room, people on Zoom.
You give all your twists away. It's not copy, it's not marketing. It's like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
I find them so hard. I just want to write the play. Do you know what I mean? Like I just want to just read the play. But no, I get it. I get why it has to be done, and I guess it's one of those things that's going to be helpful ultimately, like eating your vegetables, I guess. But I hate it.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And when you talk about like is it like a breakdown story? You mean just about this happens, and then this happens?
I applied for a competition where it was a bit like, my piece was a bit like Inside Number 9, lots of twists and stuff. And I was working with some other writers, and I was like, I know you don't want to give anything away, but these people, we need them to know why this is good.
Yeah.
And like give everything.
Yeah.
I think.
Brilliant.
Is it different from a pitch? I'm thinking of telling.
So this, thank you for asking that question, because I wanted to kind of touch on this. I think that for me, there is a difference between a theatrical treatment and a pitch for TV. There are certain set approaches to writing a TV pitch or TV treatment that I think differs from writing play. Now, I'm only speaking from my experience of commissioning and working with writers. So everybody will have a different approach. But from my point of view, there are as many approaches to a treatment as there are plays. Okay, what I would say is you want it to convey your story. You want it to give a flavour. I think stylistically, how you write the treatment should reflect the tone of the play or the feeling of the play, or so if it's a comedy, it should be fun. It should be embrace that. Or if it's mystical, having that kind of airy quality to it, ethereal. If it's poetic, again, you should reflect that in the treatment. I think there are some bare bones things about kind of conveying what the story is, who the characters are. What else do we think? Who is it for? First of all, who are we writing a treatment for?
Commission.
Yes. Yeah, I think first and foremost, it's somebody's asked you to do it. But I think it can be a useful exercise, as much as you might hate eating your vegetables, in terms of shaping your ideas and being able to convey them to somebody else. So I think trying to find a way where it doesn't feel like you're doing it for the sake of doing it, I think as a part of the process, it can be really useful. I think I find an exercise of writing marketing copy for your play can be useful
as well.
Yeah, exactly. And using that. So what you're thinking about is what are the audience going to take away from it? Is it going to make them laugh? Is it going to make them cry? Is it a heartbreaker? Is it a romantic comedy? You know, what is it that experience going to be? Because once you start thinking about that, and I'm not talking about like kind of highfalutin marketing buzzwords or any of that. It's actually getting to the core of what that experience is going to be for an audience. As soon as you start thinking about the audience, I think it helps take the play in a different direction, out of your head and into kind of that theatrical space. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think we've kind of covered treatment. So what I'd like to do now, I'm going to give you something else. So yeah, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. No, let's go for 5 minutes. Let's be decisive. 5 minutes to write a treatment. Okay. It doesn't, I'm not going to give you a set length. What I say to writers is sometimes I'll get a treatment and it's 15 pages. And there's, you know, there's research, there's, oh, here's the song list I've been listening to. Here's some images that have inspired it. Here's a mood board. A treatment can be whatever's going to be useful to convey that idea. For the purposes of this, it could be a sentence, it could be a paragraph, it could be 3 pages, depending how quickly you write. But what's, you know, what are the core things about the story you want to tell, the characters in the play, the who, what, where, why now, and what's it going to, what effect is it going to have on somebody? So this comic drama will take you on a journey through these emotions. You know, you will laugh, you will cry, you will leave the theatre feeling X, Y, Z. Yeah. Any questions?
I was going to say, does it feel more like a blurb rather than a more?
It can do, but it's up to you. I don't want to be too prescriptive because I think I don't want to kind of block off potential avenues. You know, I think it's actually about being open to all avenues, you know, because if your play is, you know, set in space and you're breaking theatrical form and everything else, but I'm telling you, you've got to write at X, Y, Z, that's going to limit it. But if it's, you know, so I think take an approach that feels like it speaks to that idea.
Is that what would usually happen? Like you wouldn't get a picture, you wouldn't get a treatment and be like, what the hell is this?
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing. Like for me, it's a starting block.
Okay.
A starting block, yeah. Somewhere to kind of take the relationship forward. So if we've got like, okay, this is a 1-page treatment, we've got somewhere to start. Now, sometimes with some writers, it does not change. Like their vision for that play is what I put on stage 2 years later, like that. Like they've just sort of got crystal clear vision. More often than not, it completely changes. Like Under 3 Moons, Dan wrote about 3 or 4 different versions of that play. You know, not even like drafts. It was like there were wholesale changes. So I think, you know, just trusting in your process and the dramaturg's relationship taking you on that journey, rather than like I've got to get this right or they're going to turn me down.
Yeah,
it's more about it's the first step in that collaboration. Okay, brilliant. Okay, put your pens down, please. Yeah. How's that?
Challenging.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Kind of putting this sprawling idea of a story and everything else into something concrete and not reductive, but it feels like, how do I wrestle that into this? Yeah. Any other reflections?
Good. Yeah, despite me hating it, that's good.
What's your favourite vegetable?
I can't talk my favourites. This felt good.
So it felt like, what would be your favourite vegetable?
Yeah.
Good. Good. Great. So we've taken the seed of idea, we've fleshed it out, created a treatment. Okay. What I'd like to explore next is more of that kind of in-depth dramaturgical development. what today is about is kind of giving you sort of a taster of these stages in a kind of super quick way, you know. Obviously you'd get to first draft stage. We're not going to get there today, unless you're the the most prolific writer in the world. So what I'd like to look at now, before we kind of dive into the next exercise, just want to have a bit of a discussion around what are the questions a good dramaturg asks. I've got a bit of a buzzword bingo written down here, so we tick them off as we go along. That'd be great. So what do you think are some of the core questions that a dramaturg should be asking?
Who is the intended audience for this piece?
Nice. We've got that soon. Yeah, who's your audience? Yeah, well done. Yeah, next.
What's the conflict between your characters?
Yeah, where's the conflict? What's the conflict? Yeah. There's another question that's sort of related to that that's often asked. It's
What's
like,
needs?
oh yeah, that one's good actually. I haven't got that one down. You get a gold star. Yeah, wants and needs. So what's the character's objective? What's their super objective? What do they want ultimately out of the play? Good. Yeah, what's the problem? Yeah, what's the obstacle to those characters getting what they need? Often there's people ask about what's the inciting incident as well. What do people understand from that?
The thing that gets the plot going.
Yes.
So the first thing that happens that leads to everything else happening one after the other, like dominant.
Yeah, and I often think of it as that it's that thing that kind of changes everything in the play. You know, it's like and the
characters don't just wake up and go, "We're going to have a plot today."
Yes, yeah.
Something happens which kicks them all into direction.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Death or or something.
What other questions?
But that inciting incident isn't the only point of change.
No. No, exactly. So
there will be others.
Yes. Elaborate.
Are there points in the script where dialogue or people's or actors' actions might change something for somebody else?
Yes. So I think it's about how characters respond to that inciting incident, and then how that changes the dynamic of the play and what happens next. Any other buzzwords, questions?
What do they think about themselves? Characters?
Yeah, that's nice.
We're
Yeah.
not a super popular one, but I just thought.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. Anything else we're missing?
What are you trying to say?
What are you trying to say? Yeah, I've got what's the central question, and I think I think there's a danger if you say what you're trying to say is that you're trying to tell an audience your world viewpoint, but actually there's something open about a question.
Yeah.
And often, as a dramaturg, I'll ask, what is the question you're trying to ask of yourself? Because I think the most interesting plays in my experience are those ones that a playwright doesn't know the answer necessarily, or in fact doesn't know the answer, and they're wrestling with that central question themselves, and the play is the way of working it out. Even if they don't get to the answer in the end, it's actually about, you know, why is the world in a state of flux, or whatever the question is, and how do you then explore that through this story. Yeah, we've had why this story now, we've had that previously. It's kind of relates to the character's point, but who is the protagonist?
Whose story is it?
Yeah, whose story is it? And it can be that there's more than one protagonist. Or there's, you know, you kind of you wrestle with whose story is it? Yeah. Good.
What are the belief systems of the characters?
Yes. Yeah, belief systems. Yeah, and what do their worldview? Is that what you mean, Judy?
Yeah, the things that underpin the way they act.
Yeah, that's
So
nice.
they like their childhood or
Yeah, getting Dr. Freud on their ass. Yeah. No, there's something about that we are the products of our upbringing, our experiences, and everything else. And there's something about exploring what's happened before the play. You know, if your character is 43, what's happened in those years to make them that person at that moment in time. That's really good. The last one that I've got is structure. What's the best structure? How are you telling the story? Is it chronological? Is it you're playing around with time, space, continuum? Like, what is it? What is the best way of telling the story, and why are you using that structure? I think that's always, and it's not necessarily the first question. Often I've taken a play that has been chronological, and then you go, well, actually, what you're trying to explore, should it not follow the emotional journey of the characters rather than the chronological? How does that work? Yeah.
Could you? This is very selfish of me. This is me asking for personal reason. If you've started something that you've got the world, and then you're just like, for some reason, I want it to be, you go through one night, but there's 3 characters, and you go through the same night 3 times.
Yeah.
To find out something's happened.
Yeah.
Could you do it that way, or would you say that's not a easy way of doing it?
I think if that's the story you want to tell, and that's the best way to tell it, it's the right way. Does that make sense? And I think it's about what's changing with each of those versions of that night.
Right. Okay.
How is that evolving for us as an audience, putting those pieces together?
Got you. Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think.
I mean, it's difficult for me to comment without knowing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was just like, I don't know if I've just done it a really stupid of doing that. I was just like, I think I've just went this backwards, and now.
But also trust your instincts as well. I think, you know, sometimes we have these. I just feel like it needs to be told this way. Feelings.
Yes.
Lean into them, and then if it is that you then talk to somebody about it and ask, oh, wouldn't it be more interesting to, or is there mileage in this approach? Then that can kind of take it in a different direction. But yeah.
Please do that. I think that sounds. I would watch that, and I think that we'd have to have so much fun with is that each version, even though it's the same night and same events, they would change because people are unreliable narrators and people portray. I don't know if anyone ever watched the X-Files. I'm showing my age and showing my like geekiness here, but like there was an episode where like Mulder and Scully had to work out, like there was a vampire involved or something like that, and she gave her telling of it, and she talked about this, you know, their version of it and how Mulder was, and he was over enthusiastic in this, and then when he told the story he was much more timid and he was much more this, and so yeah, I think you have so much fun with that. Like yeah, you really could, and have like, you know, when the one person's telling their version of the story, they present themselves as like a unique one in the group, whereas like the next person, the best friend, is going, oh no, they're a pain in the arse when they've got all in them, you know what I mean? Like I think that would be, and what a challenge, what a gift for the actors as well.
Yeah, that's very, that's yeah.
Have you seen Rashomon?
Seen
Rashomon.
Rashomon.
Rashomon, R-A-S-H-O-M.
No, I haven't. No.
Akira Kurosawa, but that's probably the most famous example of
can
that.
Can you say that again? Rush.
R-A-S-H.
Yeah.
O-M-O-N.
There's a show on Apple where it's like a crime thing, and the detective comes in and they all tell the story. Every episode is like a different telling, and they all become like caricatures of like themselves through the tellings.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah, there's something about unreliable narrators and like who to trust and everything else. So yeah, there's something interesting there. Good. Let's move on because I'm aware of time. So what I'd like to do now is kind of take this a step further. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to get back in your pairs. I'm going to put you Zoomers, all 3 of you together. What I'd like you to do is choose one of the treatments. You read it out to the dramaturg, the other person, and they feedback. They ask those questions. It's not about saying, oh, you should do this. It's about asking those questions that we've just looked at, or the questions that are prompted by the treatment. We're going to have 10 minutes for that. So it's about really kind of doing a bit of a deep dive into the story that they want to explore. It's a really selfless thing to do, I think, you know, particularly as a writer, to kind of give that other person that space and that opportunity to explore an idea. Yeah, so lean into it, enjoy it. Yeah, let's get going. Brilliant. So today we've had a bit of a whistle-stop tour of this early stages of dramaturgical development and collaboration, and yeah, and just how that dynamic can shift things and change a play and everything else. What are the next milestones in the process? So we've kind of looked at the seed of an idea and exploring that, taking it to treatment, and then reflecting on that treatment. What happens next? Yes, another vomit draft. Yeah. So like a first draft that you just get out, and it's a starting point. It's somewhere and I think this comes back to the point of trust. A lot of writers I know, they'll send their first draft to people, which is really their fifth draft. They've gone through that process, then got it to a point where actually it's less vomity. Good. So yeah, vomit draft. What happens then? What's next?
Notes from the dramaturg.
Yeah, so notes and then the next draft. And that process can evolve and change because there's no set method to that or timeline or anything else. I think that's about what the project is, what brief you're writing to, and why you're writing it. Let's say you've got a draft that's ready for the next stage. What happens then? In an ideal world.
Oh, we're going to go with the R&D.
Yeah. So let's say we're in Germany, so it's 3 weeks of R&D where you really interrogate the play. But I think R&D, whatever, if it's an extract of a play, or you have a day with it, or you just hear it out loud with a group of actors or friends or whoever, it's really valuable. I think that hear it out loud, hearing audience response, if you get to put it in front of an audience, is so valuable. The bits where they laugh, the bits where you can feel that it's died, the bits where it just flies, all of that stuff is so helpful. So all of those opportunities that you can get, there's few and far between nowadays, I do appreciate, but like actually, grab hold of them, because I think that's a really important staging post in the process. Okay, so we've done our 3 weeks of R&D. What happens next?
Rewrite the whole thing from scratch.
Hopefully not.
I've never done plenty of R&Ds, but I've never made. There's another stage.
Yeah. So welcome to the new writing landscape of the 21st century. Yeah. I think it's then about getting it ready for full production. For me, there's typically the feedback in the R&D from the R&D and the dramaturgical next steps, and then we would start pitching it to theatres around that time. Now, something I kind of wanted to touch on, although I'm aware that we're running out of time, is thinking about where you want to stage it. Now, that could come from the very seed of an idea. I'm writing a play for live theatre, it's going to be on that stage, I picture that. Or it could be, I don't know where the story is set. Great example I always think of this one is a long time collaborator. Teeth back in. Becky Prestwich, that I've worked with over a number of years, came to us with this idea for a play set in a chip shop. And her idea was, actually we'll put it on stage, and it's the idea is the audience are like voyeurs. And I was like, well, what if we staged it in a chip shop? Then that was like, well, then that evolved into why couldn't we take that into non-theatre spaces, so village halls and pubs and wherever else? And what if the audience actually tucked into a fish supper? And so it evolved, and that's what we did. We kind of took it. We in fact toured twice, but we across the north and beyond, and wherever we went, everyone had a cheap tea and watched this play happen around them. So I think it's about thinking about what's the best way to tell that. It could be a studio theatre, it could be a main house, it could be a non-theatre space, it could be a school, it could be whatever it is. I think there's a stage, particularly if you're going on that journey with a production company or with the director, where you need to think about not only who your audience is, but how you want to tell that story. Yeah. Good. Have I missed any of the milestones out? Anything else? People chip in.
Casting, I think.
Yeah, I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of production because that's complex. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, so the rewriting before opening night. That again, that's really valuable. You know, being open to that process. Often that's cutting, or you know, getting the actors to speed up, or a bit of both. Good. I was hoping to share some of the treatments and everything else, but we are really running out of time. I wanted to also just give a bit of an opportunity for any questions that you've got that may have arisen from what we've talked about today. Kind of questions to myself or to the room in general. Anything that's kind of come up, or any reflections or anything like that.
That development process that we've just been going through. On average, how long of a time frame do you think that would usually be?
Are you talking about median? Are you talking about I like it's so hard. It's how long's a piece of string. So in our experience, the shortest from the seed of an idea through to full production has been about 2.5 years. And that was a play called Sparkplug by David Judge. And David wrote it quite quickly. We developed it. We had it developed it for a week in Liverpool, and then we knew what it was and what we wanted to do with it. So typically that took like a year to develop to that stage, and then we start to pitch it to theatres. And typically for us, that will take another year.
Right,
so we think that far ahead because we're touring. So we've got a lot of partners. Yeah. If you were being commissioned by Live and they were like, "Oh, we're thinking about this slot in autumn next year," then it could be a lot quicker process.
Yeah.
So there's no hard and fast rules. I'm working on an indie musical that I'm hoping to tour next autumn, and that's been in development for 7 years. So it's not been constantly, every week.
Yeah.
There've been lulls and pandemics and everything else in between. But we've also done 3 development periods on that, because it started as a play, then it became a play with songs, and then it became a musical. So it's embracing that process. But that's unusual. That is good. Any other questions?
Aside from live rights, does anyone in the room know any of the other good places you can send scripts?
There's Laurel's Theatre in Whitley Bay, a play in a pasty they have on Thursdays. There's ones similar ones in other cities as well. You just think they're doing it here. And you just think they're doing it here because there's.
Oh no, I just want to
Scratch nights, like so you see loads of scratch nights in the northeast, and unfortunately like funding and down
where you just do like an extra.
I think on the Frontwood Prize page there is a link which just basically has every upcoming writing competition or submission window, and that's dead useful.
Yeah, and that's a great shout, because Bruntwood and BBC have got resource pages where it is sort of a one-stop shop for submission, open submissions, opportunities, all of that sort of stuff. Something that we've talked about potentially doing with Box of Tricks, but actually it's all there anyway, so we've just been reinventing the wheel, do you know what I mean? And they've got a lot more money to do that. Good. Any other questions before we wrap up? Any reflections?
The Bruntwood site's writeaplay.co.uk.
Yeah.
It's confusing. I always look for Bruntwood, but it's writeaplay.co.uk.
Anything from our Zoomers?
This has been really great. Thanks, Adam.
Great. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Please do keep in touch. You've got my email if you want to drop us a line. We do have an open submission window, but it takes us a while to get back. We usually say, please bear with us, and it can take up to 3 months for us to get back. But that's just PlayMakers at boxtripstheatre.co.uk. But yeah, brilliant. I hope you see some of you downstairs. Definitely seeing you downstairs. Live rights. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.